Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks.
So, motor companies. You guys both have in the name of the companies, but they're quite different companies. Let's just start, I guess, quickly by giving the audience kind of a general overview of what you do. Jay, can you give us a kind of a quick elevator pitch?
Sure. We're a vehicle company that designs, builds, and sells cars. And we do online co-creation. So we run a global design and development community of about 100,000 people from around the world. And then we build our vehicles in microfactories, which are now in Tennessee, Arizona, and Germany.
Great. All right, Peter? Same.
We're a technology company based in Silicon Valley, and we're designing and creating the best electric car out there, taking a step forward, taking electric cars to a new level.
Great. I noticed you said technology company. You started with technology right in the name, and I actually asked Ford CTO yesterday when they're going to become Ford Technology Company, and he said it'll be a ways out, but I think that's a good starting point. I mean, you guys are both building things that have traditionally been made, I guess, largely by very, very large, very old institutions. Perhaps not as much in your case, but I think still a lot of those vehicles fit that category. So why take on this particular challenge, and why try to do it with like a smaller, much more nimble organization when the challenges seem so vast at being able to do that successfully?
Well, the opportunity is so beguiling. The luxury vehicle market worldwide is worth $100 billion per year. And so far, electric vehicles are only scratching the surface of that market, and only having a very small percentage of that pie. We believe that by creating an electric car, the opportunity is there to make an inherently better car. No one has really done this before. Others have shown the viability of electric cars in the luxury space. No one has taken the true full potential of a miniaturized electric platform. We believe this has huge worldwide market potential, a bigger cut of this $100 billion per year annual market.
I mean, for me, we focused a lot on micro-mobility as the first place of going. If you know, Local Motors is as much a mobility company as it is anything. Mm-hmm. And so the way in which we manufacture is what we believe is revolutionary. So taking a look at the entire mobility market and going after things, for example, our latest product, Ollie, is a cognitive self-driving shuttle that is electric at its base, and it is 3D printed from the ground up. And so our manufacturing method is what we consider to be one of the greatest manufacturing revolutions out there. It allows us to point at different markets, and so in this particular case, the self-driving shuttle market is the one that we're pointing at this year and next year. And so there are so many opportunities in the vehicle space, in ground mobility, and they are accelerating as customers' desires change. Mm-hmm. Bottom of the pyramid vehicle development is also beguiling, I would say, and spending time in places where vehicles are inefficient, whether they're in cities like New York or whether they're in cities like Mumbai, there's a lot of change that needs to happen.
So you talked a lot about those opportunities, those potential opportunities, but I mean, what are the signs that there is actually demand for that to happen? Like, I mean, I just feel like you guys have both of your companies, respectively, have experienced significant challenges, right? You recently had some setbacks and some shutdowns and some scaling. Focus on Ollie, right? We're returning the focus on Ollie rather than some other stuff going on. Peter, you were talking about how you need to go out and raise, and in order to get to where you need to be to break ground on the factory, and that's been pushed back from before. So how do you get to those opportunities, which I concede are probably there and are probably large, in time? Like, it really seems like the ground is running out from underneath you, and in this particular business, you need so much time, runway, and money to get there. Like, how do you strike that balance?
Well, timing is very important, but I passionately believe as a product guy, it's about having the right product for an appropriate time. And I think we're going to see a seismic shift towards electrification, towards sustainable transportation. And I believe that we have a landmark product which is really ahead of the curve. And I think that time is on our side in that respect.
So what about actually the funding though? Is that coming along as planned?
It's coming along really well. Huge interest generated worldwide. through many potential investors, and we hope to be able to announce something pretty soon.
Okay, but not right now.
Not right now.
You can give us percentage close?
It's very encouraging, and we're in the thick of it right now.
Okay, all right. And same question about the channel.
I mean, look, Jay Leno said it best. If you want to build a vehicle company, you need to get 20 things right. And if you get 19 right, you don't get credit for the 19. You get credit for the one you got wrong. And so it's super easy to talk about financing. It's super easy to talk about technology blockers and other things like that. It is really hard to build a hardware company, period.
Yeah.
Making a vehicle is one of the most complex things in the world. Dealing with regulation, it's far more difficult than building an aircraft. And so the bottom line is that because you have the unwashed masses using and interacting with your vehicle, not well-trained pilots and flight attendants that are out there trying to operate the equipment. So it is truly a difficult place to be. And I laud all of the companies that get into it. Setbacks are just part of it. As long as you are persistent and you are there to engage, it doesn't matter whether it's being in the thick of funding or whether it's shifting factories as we have from one place to the next to accommodate demand for what's going on. Staying in the thick of it and being there for what customers want is exactly how you win.
So you talk a lot about the challenges there, and some of those seem like fixed challenges, right? Like a regulatory one is a relatively fixed challenge. Maybe.
No.
No?
No. So it is trite and common for people to come out and say, but how are you going to deal with regulators? It's a digital economy today where social media is as much part of what regulators deal with as anything else. And so in our community-based methodology for dealing with things, we invite regulators to come in and engage on crash, fire safety, and other items like that. And it has changed for regulators, the speed of their engagement with the public, and they too they get strung up by the same issues. If they're not responsive, then they can get left behind. And so regulators are no longer fixed in the way that they were before.
And what about the other components? I just want to get a bit more sort of transparency in where you guys are making the changes and the efficiencies that will allow you to get to these goals on the budgets that you have.
Well, there's two dimensions to that. First of all, the product, which is transformative, and that in itself will create its own momentum. But the real efficiency is an efficiency which is an advantage of being a small, nimble tech company. We have a team of just 300 people. We're able to create a world-class powertrain and a landmark platform and vehicle in just a couple of years. And that's unheard of. It's unprecedented in a traditional legacy automaker.
But how is that possible now for you?
It's possible through our methodology, our interactive methodology, and the close chain of command. We have a very clear vision for the product and a very close chain of command to execute that vision in a digital environment. And we're able to attract world-class talent. So many of these companies really have a methodology which is reduced to the lowest common denominator, because they have ill-equipped teams who are often ill-motivated. We have a team which is highly motivated, very incentivized, because we're all part of this company. We all share the same vision. We all own a part of the company, and we have a highly educated, hand-picked team of experts from right around the world. And so many of the team who worked with me before that I brought in. And it shows what a dedicated, small, committed team can produce in a digital environment, which is really transformative.
Same question about efficiencies that are also helping beyond.
I mean, look, there are more than one ways to win, and I have great respect, as I said, for all vehicle companies that get started. We couldn't be more different than that. We are like Linux for cars, and so we are about the most distributed team that you can imagine. We look to find people based on the merits of what they contribute, and we built our platform to be able to expose those capabilities.
But doesn't that distribute, if you diffuse that, but don't you also diffuse responsibility? Like, who can you...
We maintain the responsibility for liability in the company, and so we are effectively a global product manager and lead engineering organization for our distributed community. The goal for us is to be able to take the best ideas in worldwide on any particular challenge where we're working. It is not easy, but it does have its benefits.
Right, because I can imagine, I mean, looking through some of the product conversation, right? Like, some of it is very insightful, and some of it reads like, sort of like, teen fantasy, right? About like which can be good also, but like how do you sort that into something focused and directed?
I mean, believing in the power of the crowd is something you either do or you don't. And so if you believe in it, then you ride the lightning, and you will always get people that are contributing junk, and then you have other people that come in and simply want to contribute genius. And so managing it is about maintaining a workforce of team members who are focused on the community and setting a standard for each individual area. So whether it's autonomy, or whether it's drives, or whether it is electrification, or whether it is crash energy, or any of the subjects that are part of a vehicle, we focus our community members down on those areas and then start from there.
Peter, just because you put it that way, do you believe in the power of the crowd?
We have a very different approach.
Right, yeah.
Very much
I just mean in general, do you
and I think it's
believe?
very disruptive. And it's a wonderful thing. We believe in everyone under the same roof, a clarity and focus on the vision of a transformative product, and a team that can execute that in a very compressed timescale. And that's what differentiates us.
Great. I think, but you also share a commonality, like you have a focus on autonomy. Both of you have a
Yes.
strong focus on autonomy. And so can you talk a bit about, why that is an area to focus now when it's not a practical reality at this point, even for very large players? Well, you're saying it is a practical
Look, we're
reality.
delivering 25 vehicles to Denmark that are level 4 autonomous this year. We're delivering 24 vehicles to Denmark that are level 4 autonomous this year.
For use on regular roads or sort of
for
like...
use on roads where the public will allow them to be used. So this idea that vehicle autonomy is not a real thing, it all depends on if the question is where you're going to launch it. And so it's low speed, these vehicles, and so when you break them up, it just depends on how you want to launch the vehicle. Ollie is a shuttle that runs at less than 20 kilometers per hour, and so you can say, oh, that's not real autonomy, but in many cases that is a very, very difficult challenge that needs to be solved, and so we're delivering them this year.
And what's in place there now? Like, what would that be sort of
There are
supplanted?
different customers that are using them, so some are being used on public roads that are sort of more like a town, and others are being used in campus environments, and others are being used for, let's just say, sort of corporate environments or organizations.
And a kind of idea of the size of that market opportunity, maybe globally?
Oh my God. Well, it almost feels unlimited from a point of view of moving people around moving people and things around for last mile logistics. There's a new startup that pops up almost every month for moving goods around that says, oh, we have a new robotic solution that's going to solve all of Amazon's last mile logistics issues. It's simply, it's almost unfathomable. It's a $2 trillion market. It's enormous.
Yeah. Peter, I think with your autonomy and sort of targeting like a consumer vehicle that would be driving people around in cities, maybe that is a bit further out, a bit further afield, so...
It is, but it's a very much a part of the future landscape,
Yeah.
and it's very much part of our plan. We see it as an inevitability, and we're not betting the house on this. We're prepared to take this opportunity. So what we're doing is creating a vehicle which is level 4/5 autonomous ready, with a fully integrated sensor suite of cameras, LiDARs and radars, and we recently announced our collaboration with Mobileye for autonomous sensing. There are some companies out there creating these interesting different paradigms for autonomous driving, cars without a steering wheel. They're betting the whole house on autonomous driving being a reality. We don't have to do that, because one of the reasons for removing that steering wheel is to find more interior space. We've actually got a steering wheel and we've got more interior space. We've got a great driver's car and a great riding car, and we've done this through the miniaturization of an advanced electric powertrain, which teases out more space and provides a car which is transformative because it's smaller on the outside and very significantly larger and more comfortable on the inside. And that sits so well with this autonomous driving landscape. When we see these mega trends, autonomous driving, proliferation of electric car, fully connected car, and ride sharing, we believe we've got the perfect platform for this new landscape.
But how do you avoid being a, combo washing machine, microwave, dryer? That's like something that nobody wants, right? Like a fridge, everything glued in together to sort of try to address all these possible states it seems like you could be creating a hybrid that ends up alienating any one of those individual.
You would in a normal situation if you're compromising the functionality of one for another. For example, trying to create a flying car where you end up with a lousy car and a lousy aeroplane.
So you guys aren't building a flying car.
But think of the multifunctionality of a cell phone today. I mean, that has got excellent functionality across a range of axes. And I think that our car is exceptional as a driving car, and it's exceptional in terms of a riding car as well. And this is really transformative. It's because of the miniaturization of that powertrain that we've got this breakthrough. So normally, with the constraints of an internal combustion engine car, you have so many compromises and trades between drivability and riding comfort. The electric powertrain is going to explode all this and mean that we can have genuinely a vehicle which is transformative, that is excellent in a range of areas. No one's done that before.
Mm-hmm. And what about, so let's talk a bit about timelines and timelines for sort of, I guess, broad commercial application. You're still targeting 2019?
Yeah, about 2 years out.
Okay, and how about you're going to put some stuff on the road right away.
We have a record for launching quickly, so we launched the Rally Fighter, which you can see in the Fast and Furious 8 movie. We've done vehicles for the military before. We designed Domino's latest pizza delivery vehicle called the DXP.
Oh, the DXP.
We have a record for fast delivery, and it's backed up by our global co-creation community and our microfactories. If you want to come see the world's first 3D printed cars, come to our microfactories. We can print a car in 29 hours now with no tooling cost. And so the bottom line is that they are not luxury vehicles to begin with. They're focused on a different market, but they are incredible in their digitization and the ability for you to be able to dream up a design and see it pop out of a machine. So the vehicles we're delivering this year are Ollie, and they are 3D printed, and next year they will be different. When we think about powertrain, right now, we're particularly interested in hub motors. The technology has come along a lot in unsprung weight. It allows control at each wheel, and for low speed, it's particularly applicable. So I see a transition in this next year, moving from axial motors to hub motor technology. It's advantaged very well for a 3D printed vehicle at low speed, harder to manage for high-speed operations right now. And so I think you'll see that in addition to self-driving vehicle technology. We are engaging, for those of you that follow Ollie, we are engaging IBM Watson on the inside for cognition. We ran a hackathon at Princeton 4 weeks ago where we were doing Alzheimer mitigation techniques, where you could remind people that get on board what they came on with so that they leave with it. So we are ramping up. Our latest challenge is accessible Ollie, so working on a broad range of neuro and body diversity challenges, starting with things like Alzheimer's and other things like that. So technology is just.
But all of that sound and all those examples you brought up, they're all boutique. So the point is that you're not. This is the scale. This is the scale that you're targeting on.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we are, in effect, the mass boutique manufacturer, if you want to think about it, or a company that masses through scope. And so change up is our game, and being able to introduce new technologies as fast as you can think of them and engineer them is what our focus is.
Great. All right, just one last question. We talked a bit with Ford yesterday about sort of their experiments and their side bets and their willingness to partner. Do you see that as an opportunity? Do you see the large automakers have this apparent desire to range around, pick people up, maybe acquire things to see if it's going to work for this new future of mobility? Is that an opportunity or a challenge for you guys?
I think there's a potential terrific synergy between the sort of tech companies that are in Silicon Valley and traditional automakers, and I can see a great harmony between those. The scalability that a traditional OE can provide, and the fleet-footedness, the methodology in the digital domain that a tech company can offer. I see a great potential here, a great synergy.
So you would be open to partnerships with some of the larger OEs?
That remains to be seen. Depends upon the terms.
Okay. And same question?
Look, absolutely. Like I said, anybody that has the capability to build a vehicle and has been through it deserves a great deal of credit, large or small. The one thing which I will say is there tends to be a large amount of ego around the large automakers, such that they'll say, oh, we'll buy software companies, but if you manufacture, we're not interested. And I think that that is something where that's a myopia that they have to get over. It's sort of, they believe that the way they make vehicles is never going to change. I haven't yet seen a car company, Tesla included, that thinks about truly making vehicles in a disruptive way. So I think the hardware discussion is pretty far off for them, but I'm always open to it.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much, Jay and Peter. That does it for us.
Great. Thank you.